The first person to kill your dream was the one who should have protected it, and you didn't even realize when it happened. Because narcissistic mothers don't destroy dreams all at once. They do it slowly, word by word, look by look, until you yourself bury your dreams and call it being realistic. Carl Jung discovered something disturbing about this dynamic. When a narcissistic mother sabotages her child's dreams, she's not being critical or practical. She's attacking the own dead dreams that she sees reflected in the child. It's a projection of the maternal shadow, and the child pays the price for it for the rest of their life. There's a certain type of adult you've probably met. Maybe it's even you, bright, talented people with obvious potential, but who never go far. Not because they lack ability, but because they have a deep, inexplicable terror of dreaming big. Every time a big opportunity appears, something inside them sabotages it. They refuse, they hesitate until they lose. They achieve success and then destroy everything they've built. And when you ask them why, they say, "I don't deserve this. I'm not that good. Who do I think I am to want this?" And these aren't their words, they're echoes. They're phrases that were implanted in childhood and grew like weeds in the psyche, suffocating every dream that tried to sprout. And Carl Jung called this a negative mother complex operating in the shadow. But let's break it down. It's the voice of your narcissistic mother that you've internalized so deeply that you now think it's your own. She destroyed your dreams with such efficiency that you don't even need her to do it anymore. You do it yourself, automatically, compulsively. And you call it self-awareness, having your feet on the ground, maturing. But Jung would say, that's not maturation. It's psychological murder. It's the death of the true self that's been forced to look like evolution. And there's something that most people don't understand about emotional dream sabotage. It's not passive. It's not just a mother who doesn't support you, who doesn't come to your recital, who forgets your important day. That's neglect, and it's painful, but it's different. Emotional sabotage is active, it's strategic, it's systematic. Narcissistic mothers don't simply fail to support your dreams. They identify what you love most, what makes you shine, and destroy exactly that. And they do it through 5 precise psychological mechanisms that Carl Jung mapped out when studying the family shadow. 5 ways to kill dreams without leaving visible scars. Let me tell you about Ashley. She was 8 years old when she discovered she could draw, not just the drawings that every child makes. Drawings that made adults stop and look twice. She drew people and somehow captured something beyond physical appearance. She captured feelings. A teacher told her mother, "Your daughter has exceptional talent. You should put her in art classes." And Ashley's mother smiled and said, "Oh yes, she likes to doodle. But doodling doesn't pay the bills, does it?" And she looked at Ashley when she said that. Ashley was 8 years old. She didn't know that was the beginning, the first wound. The first time her dream was diminished. Exceptional talent became doodling. Something rare became an irrelevant hobby. And the subliminal message, the one that was etched into her subconscious: you're not as special as you thought. This is the first mechanism of emotional sabotage that narcissistic mothers use. Jung called it systematic minimization, reducing what is big until it seems small, not through direct criticism, but through language that belittles. Doodling, playing, wasting time, a phase. Words carefully chosen by the mother's unconscious to drain the child's greatness. Ashley continued drawing. Because at 8 years old, dreams are still resilient. They can withstand a few wounds. She drew at night after homework, hidden in her room. She filled notebooks, and one day she made a drawing that she knew was the best she had ever done. It was a portrait of her grandmother who had died months before, and she captured something on paper. She captured the sadness in her eyes, the longing, the presence. She showed it to her mother with a hope that every child has, the hope that this time, finally, her mother will see, will recognize, will celebrate. Ashley's mother looked at the drawing for 3 seconds and said, "Tiffany from your class also draws, doesn't she? I heard her mother say she won an award. Do you know Tiffany? She's really good." And she handed the drawing back to Ashley. And at that moment, something died. Not the entire dream yet, but a part. The part that believed she could be seen, that she could be the best, that she could be celebrated. That part died, and in its place grew a seed of inadequacy. This is the second mechanism, destructive comparison. Narcissistic mothers are experts at this. They don't criticize you directly. They simply mention someone better. There's always someone better. There's always the Tiffany who won an award, the cousin who is doing well, the neighbor's daughter who is so dedicated. And what does this do to the child's psyche? It creates what Jung called a structural inferiority complex. Not a specific inferiority at one point, but a fundamental, archetypal belief that you will always be less, that no matter how good you get, there will always be a Tiffany, and your mother will always see Tiffany, not you. So why keep trying? But Ashley continued, because at 10, at 12 years old, dreams still fight. She kept getting better. Teachers kept commenting. One suggested she enroll in an art school for teenagers, a special school for young people with exceptional talent. Ashley researched it. It was far away. It required sacrifice, but it was possible. She mustered the courage and spoke to her mother. She said she wanted to apply, that maybe if she got in, she could one day make a career out of it, be an artist, have exhibitions, live off her art. Ashley's mother didn't say no. This is important. Narcissistic mothers rarely say no directly. They say, "Of course, honey, if that's what you want. But are you sure? Because being an artist, you know, is a very difficult life. Most of them starve, and you're not that good with frustration. You've always been too sensitive. I just don't want you to suffer. I'm just protecting you." And then she changed the subject, never touched on the topic again, never asked about the application, never offered help. And when Ashley tried to bring it up again, her mother sighed wearily, as if Ashley's dream was a burden. This is the third mechanism, withholding support at critical moments. The child is about to take a big step, needs support, validation, practical help. And the narcissistic mother doesn't openly oppose it. She simply disappears, emotionally, practically, becomes unavailable exactly when the child needs her most, and adds a layer of false concern. "I just want to protect you. I just don't want you to suffer." What does that teach a child? It teaches them that big dreams equal suffering. It teaches them that ambition equals maternal abandonment. It teaches them that if you try to fly, you will fall, and you'll be all alone when you do, so it's safer to not even try. Ashley didn't sign up. She told herself it was just being realistic, that her mother was right, that being an artist was just too hard. But Jung would say, that wasn't a choice. It was programming. It was the negative mother complex at work. It was the child giving up on her dream, not because she didn't want it, but because the emotional price of holding on to that dream against the shadow of her mother was just too high. Children choose emotional survival, always. So they kill their own dreams before those dreams kill them. She kept doodling, but it was different now. Without the light, without the ambition, smaller, safer doodles. And when she was 15, something happened. She won an art competition at school, a small competition, yes, but she won. For the first time, she was publicly recognized. She received a certificate. A teacher said at the ceremony, "Ashley is one of the most talented students I've ever had." And Ashley felt something dangerous. She felt hope. She felt the dream stirring again, trying to breathe. She came home holding the certificate tight. Her mother was in the kitchen. Ashley showed it to her shyly, but with a sparkle in her eye, and her mother glanced at it, read it, and said, "Oh, that's nice, congratulations." And then, before Ashley could even respond, "Did you do the dishes I asked you to do?" And she went back to chopping onions, and in that silence, in that instantaneous transition between dream and dishes, Ashley learned the final lesson. She learned that her dreams, her accomplishments, her talent, they don't matter. They're not worthy of attention. They're not worthy of celebration. They're as relevant as dirty dishes. Less, maybe. This is the fourth mechanism, invalidation at the moment of triumph. The child finally receives external validation, finally has proof that she is good. And the narcissistic mother ignores it, changes the subject, treats it as irrelevant. And this isn't accidental. Jung explained that a narcissistic mother feels unconsciously threatened by her child's success. Because the child's success mirrors her own failure, her own dead dreams, so she needs to diminish it, needs to erase it. She can't allow the child to shine because the child's light illuminates the mother's darkness, and unconsciously the mother chooses her own darkness over the child's light. Ashley stopped showing things to her mother, stopped talking about art. At 17, she stopped doodling altogether. She said she had other priorities, prep courses, college entrance exams, a serious degree, and she chose business administration, a career that her mother approved of, a safe career. And her mother finally smiled and said, "Now you're thinking straight. I always knew you'd mature." And Ashley interpreted that smile as love, as acceptance, but it wasn't. It was relief. It was the narcissistic mother relieved that her daughter had finally given up on surpassing her, finally killed her own dream, and called it growth. Ashley is 35 now. She works at a company, earns a good salary, is competent, and is profoundly unhappy, in a way she can't quite name. She has a dull, existential crisis, an emptiness that money can't fill, relationships that don't last, because she can't believe that anyone could truly love her. And she has a closet in her apartment that has been locked for years. Inside it, old notebooks, drawings by an 8-year-old child who knew how to capture the soul of people on paper. But hold on, because there's a fifth mechanism, the most subtle, the most destructive, and it's this one that you need to understand now, because it's what seals the cycle. It's what ensures that even in adulthood, even far away from her mother, you continue destroying your own dreams. It's the mechanism that transforms the external voice of the mother into a permanent internal voice. Carl Jung called this the introjection of the maternal shadow, and it works like this. For years, the narcissistic mother criticizes, minimizes, compares, sabotages, and initially the child knows it's the mother doing it. It's painful, but it's external. But with repetition, with time, something happens. The child internalizes those voices. The mother's phrases become the child's thoughts. Doodling becomes, "I just scribble." "You aren't good with frustration" becomes, "I can't handle pressure." "I only want to protect you" becomes, "It's dangerous to dream big." And when this happens, the child doesn't even need the mother to kill her dreams anymore. She does it herself, automatically, and thinks that they are her own realistic evaluations, but they aren't. They are the mother's shadow, operating from within. Ashley internalized the voice. Every time she thinks about drawing again, she hears, You aren't that good. You're too old. It won't lead to anything. And she thinks they're her own thoughts, her own healthy self-criticism, her own rationality. But Jung would say that's the narcissistic mother continuing her sabotage decades later. It's the negative mother complex inoculated into the daughter's psyche, working tirelessly to ensure that she never individuates, never separates, never surpasses the mother. And there's something more. The fifth mechanism doesn't just kill dreams, it installs deep guilt, narcissistic guilt, which works like this. Every time Ashley has a glimpse of success, every time someone praises her work, every time she stands out, she feels a nauseating guilt, as if she were betraying someone, betraying her mother. Because deep down, in her unconscious, she learned, my success hurts my mother. My light diminishes my mother. So if I love my mother, I need to remain small. I need to fail. I need to kill my dreams so that my mother doesn't feel threatened. Is it crazy? Yes. Is it unconscious? Completely. Is it real? Absolutely. Jung documented this in dozens of cases. Children of narcissistic mothers who sabotage their own success because success equals guilt. Because unconsciously, loyalty to the mother demands that they don't surpass her, demands that they remain in her shadow. And this demand is so powerful that brilliant adults destroy careers, relationships, opportunities, just to maintain this invisible and toxic loyalty. Ashley doesn't know this consciously, but her unconscious knows. And her unconscious has been working tirelessly to ensure that she never draws again, because drawing would be disobeying her mother, would be betrayal, would be choosing herself. And for a daughter of a narcissistic mother, choosing herself feels like the most unforgivable sin. But here's the twist. 6 months ago, Ashley was laid off, cuts at the company, nothing personal. But for the first time in 15 years, she was without direction, without the structure that kept her too busy to think. And in the emptiness, in the forced silence, something old began to stir. A restlessness, a hunger, a whisper that said, what if? What if you started drawing again? What if you tried again? What if that 8-year-old dream wasn't dead, but just buried? And initially, the negative mother complex reacted violently. That internalized voice screamed, you're 35 years old. It's way past time. Who do you think you are? But for the first time, Ashley stopped and thought, that's not my voice. It's her voice. And recognizing that, naming it, was the first step towards what Jung called individuation, the separation between myself and my mother, between my thoughts and implanted thoughts, between my true self and the persona I constructed to survive her. She bought a sketchbook, went to the closet, opened her old notebooks, and wept. She wept for the 8-year-old child who knew how to capture souls, wept for the 15 years lost, wept for the betrayal of herself. And in that pain, in that grief, the healing began. Because you can't heal what you don't recognize. You can't rescue dreams you deny having buried. Ashley needed to feel the full pain of the sabotage before she could begin the unsabotaging. Now, 6 months later, Ashley draws every day. It's not easy. The voice still attacks. The guilt still surfaces. There are days when she thinks, this is ridiculous, I should be looking for a real job. But she's developed something new. She's developed awareness. When the critical voice comes, she stops and asks, is this mine or is it hers? And most of the time, it's hers. It's the family shadow of her mother. And recognizing that takes away its power, because negative mother complexes only function in the unconscious when you bring them into the light. When you name them, They begin to lose strength, and something surprising happened. She posted some drawings online, with no expectation, no ambition, just to exist. And people commented, bought them, asked for commissions, not because she forced it, but because true talent, even buried for 15 years, doesn't die. It waits, in the shadows, waiting to be recognized, waiting for permission to come back to life. But there's a complication. Ashley's mother found out about the drawings. A cousin showed them to her, and her mother called and said, "I saw your drawing again. What phase is this, Ashley? Shouldn't you be looking for work?" And in that moment, Ashley felt it. Felt the guilt rising, felt the impulse to explain, justify, apologize for daring to dream. But this time, she breathed and said, "I'm doing fine, Mom," and ended the call. Seems small. It was huge. It was Ashley, for the first time in 35 years, not allowing her mother's shadow to kill her dream again. It was her choosing herself, choosing her true self, choosing individuation instead of toxic fusion. And Jung would say, this is the moment when the daughter is born psychologically, not at 8 years old when she had her first dream, but at 35, when she defended that dream from the person who should have protected it the most. But this moment wouldn't have happened without Ashley recognizing the 5 mechanisms, without her naming the sabotage, systematic minimization, destructive comparison, withholding support at critical moments, invalidation of achievements, introjection of the critical voice. When you see the mechanisms, they stop being invisible. And when they stop being invisible, you can start to dismantle them. Now let me ask you something personal. Have you ever felt it? That dread of dreaming big? That guilt when you stand out? That voice that says, "Who do you think you are?" If so, I need to tell you something that maybe no one has said. That voice is not yours. It never was. It's an echo. It's a projection. It's the shadow of someone who was so afraid of their own failure that they needed to sabotage your success. And you don't need to carry that anymore. But recognizing it is only the first step. Because the negative mother complex doesn't give up easily. It will fight. It will try to convince you that you're being ungrateful, dramatic, exaggerated. It will whisper, "Your mother loves you. She was just protecting you. You're distorting everything." And if you allow it, that whisper will make you bury your dreams again. It will make you go back to prison and call it family loyalty. So, the second part of the healing needs to come, and this part hurts more. Because it involves something that every daughter of a narcissistic mother is terrified of doing. It involves allowing your dreams to be bigger than hers. It involves shining, even knowing that your light will expose her darkness. It involves choosing your true self, even when it means losing her approval. And that's not selfishness. It's not cruelty. Jung called it the moral imperative of individuation. You have an obligation, not to your mother, but to your own self. To become who you really are. To realize the dreams that were born with you. Because those dreams aren't whims. They're callings. They're expressions of your true self trying to manifest. And when you kill them to please someone, even your mother, you commit psychological suicide. You kill who you're supposed to be and live as a shadow. Ashley is learning this. She's learning that defending her dreams isn't attacking her mother, it's defending herself. And that if her mother feels attacked by her success, that's her problem, not hers. That's the family shadow, not the daughter's responsibility. And that distinction, that psychological separation, is what frees you. It's what breaks the cycle. It's what allows buried dreams to resurrect. But there's a crucial detail here, a detail that you need to understand deeply. When you start to rescue your buried dreams, when you begin individuation, Your narcissistic mother will escalate. She will increase the pressure. She will use guilt, victimization, anger, any tool that has worked before, because unconsciously she feels she's losing control, feels that you are escaping her shadow. And for a narcissistic mother, that's intolerable. So she'll try to pull you back, will try to make you feel selfish, ungrateful, cruel. And here is the final test of individuation. Can you hold on to your dreams even when she cries, even when she accuses you, even when she rejects you temporarily? Because if you give up here, if you sacrifice your dreams again to keep the peace with her, you confirm the pattern. You teach your unconscious. My dreams are less important than her feelings. I exist to serve her shadow, not to realize my true self. And that lesson will haunt you for the rest of your life. Ashley is still in that test. But now she has something she didn't have before: awareness. When the guilt comes, she names it. This is narcissistic guilt. This is the negative mother complex trying to pull me back. And naming it gives her power, gives her choice. She's learning that she can love her mother and still defend her dreams, that she can have compassion for her mother's pain and still not sacrifice herself. That's compassionate individuation. And Jung would say, when you rescue your dreams without hatred, only with firmness, you break the generational cycle. You become the first generation that dreams again. The first sign that your dreams aren't dead, just buried. You still feel that dull ache when you see someone living the dream you killed. That envy that isn't malice, it's grief. It's your true self, crying for the dreams you were forced to abandon. And Jung would say, this pain is information. It's your psyche telling you there's something there that needs to be rescued, that there's a part of you still alive in the shadows, waiting for permission to breathe again. If you feel that pain, when you see someone living your buried dream, pay attention. That's your true self trying to wake up. And the next step is to allow yourself to have the dream again, not to realize it, yet just to think, what if I tried? What if the voice saying it's too late was her voice, not mine? Ashley learned a Jungian trick. When the critical voice comes, she writes, "You're not good enough, you're too old," and asks, would I say this to an 8-year-old? The answer is always no. So why do I say it to myself? Because it's not my voice, it's the internalized voice of my mother. Writing down the criticism and questioning it is what Jung called making the unconscious. Conscious when you expose the voice and say, that's my mother's voice, not mine. It loses power. Complexes need darkness. When you name them, they start to die. Now, about this video you just watched, about understanding how narcissistic mothers destroy dreams through systematic emotional sabotage, about recognizing the 5 mechanisms and the projection of the maternal shadow. This isn't just psychological information. This is a tool for liberation. And if this resonated with you, if you recognized your story here, there's a way for you to support this work and, at the same time, commit to your own healing. Right below this video, you'll see a super thanks button. When you click there, you're not just financially supporting this channel, you're doing something deeper. You're saying to the universe, to your psyche, to your unconscious, I recognize that I was sabotaged. I recognize that my dreams were buried, and I choose to invest in my individuation. I choose to rescue my true self. And that matters, because the act of supporting content that liberates you is, in itself, an act of individuation. It's you choosing consciousness instead of unconsciousness. It's you saying, I deserve to understand what happened to me. And there's more. Each video like this requires hours of research in deep Jungian psychology. study of cases, understanding of narcissistic dynamics, and this work only continues because people who were wounded decide to support the rescue of other wounded people. When you give super thanks, you're not just helping yourself. You're helping the next person who's going to watch this video and finally understand why they're terrified to dream. You're breaking the silence about maternal emotional sabotage. You're saying, this truth needs to be known. And that is powerful. So, if this video helped you see the mechanisms to see that the critical voice is not yours, click on that golden heart, not for the quantity, but for the meaning, for the commitment to your individuation. Because investing in understanding your wound is taking power from it. Now, let me give you something practical, something you can start doing today, now, to begin the rescue of your buried dreams. Because understanding is the first step, but individuation requires action, requires practice, requires you to do something different than what you've always done. First, identify a buried dream, something you loved doing in childhood and stopped: drawing, writing, dancing, singing. Allow yourself to remember what it was like when you did that. Jung would call it the true self. I call it you, before you learned to betray yourself. Second, do that thing for 5 minutes, just 5, and when the critical voice comes, say, I see you. You're the voice of my mother, and I choose to do this anyway. You're challenging decades of programming. You're saying to the mother complex, you're not in charge anymore. Third, observe the guilt, because it will come. After the 5 minutes, you might feel an unexplainable guilt. That's narcissistic guilt. Name it. This is individuation guilt. And breathe. With repetition, the guilt decreases. You learn that dreaming is not betrayal. It's a right. Ashley did exactly that. Started with 5 minutes a day and of drawing. And the first days were psychological torture. The critical voice was deafening. The guilt was nauseating. But she continued, and something started to change. On the 20th day, she drew for 20 minutes without realizing it. On the 40th day, the critical voice still came, but weaker. On the 60th day, she had a drawing that made her cry, not from sadness, from recognition. She thought, I forgot that I was like this. I forgot that this lived in me. And at that moment, she wasn't just drawing. She was rescuing decades of buried, true self. When I started drawing again, other dreams also woke up, Ashley told me. Dreams that I didn't even know I had buried. A desire to travel alone, to live somewhere else, to end relationships that weren't serving me, because rescuing one dream awakens the entire true self. Individuation is not a controlled process. It's a psychological earthquake. It's waking up after decades and realizing you built an entire life to please the shadow of your mother, and now you need to take it apart and rebuild. But Jung would say, it's the only path to wholeness, for you to stop living as a fragment and start living as a complete person. Ashley is redesigning her entire life, ended a 3-year relationship, is moving to another city, and says, for the first time in 35 years, I am alive, I feel, and that is worth all the chaos. If you start this process, some people will think you're selfish. They'll say you've changed, and they're right. You're becoming you. You're ceasing to be the persona built to please, and not everyone will like it. Especially your narcissistic mother and you'll have to choose between their approval and your own integrity, between the false peace of returning to the prison and the true chaos of being free. And Jung would say, always choose the true self, because at the end of your life, you'll regret having betrayed yourself. You'll regret the dreams you didn't have the courage to rescue. So, rescue them. Rescue your dreams. Rescue your ambition. Rescue your brilliance. And if she sabotages you again, defend them. Defend your dreams as you would have defended the dreams of an 8-year-old, because that child is still in you, waiting for you to finally protect her, finally say, your dream matters, you matter, and no one, not even my mother, will kill that again. Now, tell me in the comments, what dream from your childhood did your mother destroy? And more importantly, are you going to try to rescue it? You don't need to give details. You don't need to explain. Just write, I will try. Or write the name of the dream. Drawing, writing, traveling, singing, anything. Because when you write, when you declare it publicly, something changes. You step out of the private shame and into a public commitment, and that has power. It has the power to hold you steady on the days you want to give up. The power to remind you, I said I'd try, so I'm going to try, even if I'm scared, even if I feel guilty, even if she doesn't approve, I'm going to try. And if you've listened this far, if you've stayed until the end, it's because something in this video resonated with you. It's because you recognized your story. And that means it's time. It's time to stop just surviving your mother and start living for yourself. It's time to rescue who you always were. Before you learn to shrink yourself down, it's time to dream again. Dream big, without asking permission, without guilt, as your right, as an obligation to your true self, as individuation, as freedom, as life, as Carl Jung always taught us.